all you cool cats and kittens.
All right.
Boom, I didn't say it. They were making fun of me because they said that I was going to say, hey, Group A. But I didn't say, hey, Group A. What? I know. That just, I'm done. Like that really just over the edge. Like she's on Dancing with the Stars. Did you see that?
Isn't that crazy?
I'm done.
She killed her husband. Why is she doing it?
Well, you know. Yeah, someone said, why is she on there? She killed her husband. She didn't technically kill her husband. But to me, that would be all the more reason to be on there.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Wait, what's her name?
Carol Baskins. You don't know who she is?
No, I know who she is. I can't remember her name.
I love the
Oh.
I
series.
just call her the cat killer.
The cat killer.
You need to watch the series. They give the whole thing.
I did. My mom was
It was
playing
nuts.
at like 4 o'clock in the morning.
All right, Group A, you are at home today. Now I do have to talk to you. Group B is here. Group A, you're going to watch this video, answer a couple of the questions that are posted on the Google Classroom in the Google form. Make sure you do that. I did have a couple people who missed that from the B group. Yeah, it's so confusing. Group A, we don't have school on Monday, so you are here on Tuesday, and your Chapter 1 test is on Tuesday. B group, who are here, you do not have school on Monday or Tuesday, so your test is on Wednesday. However, when you are at home on Tuesday, you're going to do your Chapter 1 homework. Does anybody have any questions about what their homework is for Chapter 1? Okay, so open up to the end of your notes right now of Chapter 1, so the end of the Chapter 1 notes. Then you will see your homework. Don't forget those questions that are there, the ones that are on page 6 of your notes. Those are the ones that are going to be found in your textbook. So if you look on your textbook, oh gosh, is it page 6 or is it page 9? I don't remember.
It says page 9.
Page 9. Page 9, numbers 1, 2, and 3. Those questions are in your textbook. And then if you look on the other side of that page, the one that says section 1 dash whatever review, you will find all of those answers in your textbook as well. And then if you turn back to the third page of your this homework, no, you were right, kiddo. You were right the other way. Where the microscope is, don't forget that choice B is nose piece. Like nose, N-O-S-E, piece, P-I-E-C-E. That is not in your textbook. Okay, so on that, if you did not write that down when I told you that the first day of school. Okay, any questions people who are in here about your homework? Okay, people group A, when you're at home, if you have questions about your homework, you can ask me on Tuesday because your homework is not due until Wednesday. Okay, any other questions so far? No. Okay, let's go ahead and start reviewing. Again, you do have a test on Tuesday or Wednesday in this class. Please make sure that you check the Google Classroom. You're fine, you can drink that. On the Google Classroom, there is, oh, I thought I was going to spill. No, you can't drink it like that. You can drink it like that? How are you drinking it like that? Ew, now your mask is wet. No?
It
is, but
photosynthesis.
what she said.
It is definitely not photosynthesis.
Ew, what if they got like
Well,
freaking
if you
mold
hide
in it?
corona, you're like.
I hope I get corona.
Some kid just drank his Mountain Dew through his mask, like he had a gator mask on, and then it was just there, and then he just drank it through the mask.
Ew,
Oh, that works. Now your neck's gonna be wet.
You're gonna breathe it in and probably get like carbon dioxide.
Covered is.
That's one of them.
Yes. Okay. So let's go ahead and look at the different characteristics of life. Again, test is on Tuesday. So this test is going to be easier. This test is mainly stuff. It's a review of everything that you've ever pretty much talked about. I don't think there's a whole lot of thought questions. I have an itchy nose. Hang on. So what's going to happen is on the, oh, so itchy. Why is my face itchy right now?
Because someone's talking smack on you.
They don't talk smack on me. I'm like Chuck Norris. If they're talking
Really?
smack on me,
Wow. That's a threat
Oh,
to us. I'm
promise.
gonna write you up.
okay. So, what was I going to say? Oh, so this test shouldn't be too bad. This should not be a super awful test for you to take. I know this is all new. It just gets you an idea of how I give tests, and then we will go from there. Chapter 2 is going to be more difficult. So let me just say now, Chapter 1, it may be super easy for you. You may be like, oh, I know this stuff. Yes, you know this stuff. You've had this every year since you started learning science. When we get to Chapter 2, when we get to Chapter 3, that's stuff that you've never had before, and you're going to need to be studying every night. Taking it home, going over the notes. It really gets tough in Chapters 3 is where it starts to get really tough. 3, I'm trying to think of the hard chapters. 3 and 10 are the 2 hardest chapters for the year. But they're also the biggest chunks of the keystone as well, which again, we're still taking keystones.
Please don't remind me,
Yay!
It's not a yay.
Okay. First thing you need to know for your test is biology, is the study of life. If you have not done so already, in your notes, where you took the notes, anything that is underlined, that is going to be on the test. In this chapter, it's probably just going to be like, what is the study of life? And you'll say biology. In other chapters, you may have to apply that more. Okay, so each test is going to be probably about 50-50, like directly from the notes questions and things that are in the notes that you need to actually understand. Okay, just so you know the level that you have to know this material. It's hot in here. Is anybody else hot? It's like
Oh,
humid and
crazy.
sticky.
I think you have
I'm
coronavirus.
cold.
I needed a mask
But
break.
it's
I've been
sticky.
needed a mask break all morning.
Your,
I-
And I haven't got
I
one.
don't have,
your body is shutting down.
I'm just
Right.
old. That's why my body is shutting
You're
down.
not old, you're like in your 30s.
Oh, thank you. I said I'm not old. I'm just in my 30s, just so that's on the public record for the internet. Not old. Yeah, I'm old. Characteristics of life. First is organization. This part, don't forget. On here, you need to know not just the definition. You don't need to just know that a group of cells that works together is tissue, a group of tissues that work together are organs, a group of organs that work together is an organ system. You need to know the order. So the biggest, and I don't remember on your test if it's biggest to smallest or smallest to biggest, but the largest one that we're going to talk about right now is the organ system. As we progress through the year, we're going to add more stuff. But for now, organ system's the biggest, organs are smaller, tissues are smaller, smaller are cells, and then smaller than that are atoms. So in this class, we're going to spend most of our time here on the cellular level. Chemistry, you would learn about the atomic level. Anatomy would be this. Okay, and then ecology is the stuff above that that I don't have on the slide. Next characteristic of life is cells. Cells are the smallest unit of life, the smallest thing that can perform all of life's processes. Everything that a cell can do, you can do. So cells can communicate with each other. Cells can take in energy and convert it into a usable form. Cells can reproduce. Cells can have high amounts of organization. Cells are all, well, eukaryotic cells. So you are a eukaryote, meaning that you have a nucleus and you have membrane-bound organelles. So you have all of these, okay, you know what an organ is, right? Like your heart and your brain and your lungs, okay. So L, that suffix L, E-L-L-E, means little, or like super tiny. So organelles are the super tiny little organs that are inside of cells. So inside of every cell, it has a brain organ, a little one. It's not actually a brain. What is it? Does anybody know?
Membrane.
What's the like brain in a cell, the control center of the cell? The nucleus, right. So in eukaryotic cells like you have a nucleus or a little brain inside of the cell. Cells can do everything that a human can do, kind of like they don't do higher thought and stuff like that. They don't like fall in love. They just reproduce to make more. There's no like courtship. They don't have like little cell candlelight dinners and go on little cell dates and things like that. But they can do lots of things that the cells can do. You are multicellular, so you have lots of these eukaryotic cells inside of you. Some things like some protist, amoeba, euglena, those are all things you looked at in Mrs. Boyle's class whenever you were looking at the pond water. They are all unicellular. Some things are what we call colonial, meaning that they can live together, but they can live on their own, but they prefer to live together. So they form these little colonies, just like an ant colony or a bee colony, and they have specialized jobs within that colony. But if you take one out, they're perfectly fine. What happens if I take out one of these I don't know. This baby's eyeballs sell. What happens? Maybe he's blind. I don't know if that's a girl baby or a boy baby. I can't tell. But that baby, it's adorable baby. I just want to pinch his little cheeks. And I want to smell his head. Did we talk about
Smell his head.
Yes.
What?
I love the smell of baby heads. Baby heads and puppy breath. Love them. Anybody else? Baby heads. Anybody else know what a baby head? You don't know what I mean? They just no.
I smelled it, yeah.
You smell babies and they
Yeah.
smell so good, and it's not just their soap. There's
They're
something
okay
about
smelling.
babies. Like Mr. Rob, his wife would bring the baby in and be like, "Hey, Missy," and she's like, "Yep, go ahead." And she knew that I just wanted to smell his little head.
That's so weird.
It-
I smell your baby.
Yeah. No, but you're not a mom, so you're never gonna be a mom.
He's
But
an uncle if that counts.
you're an uncle.
Actually,
How old is this
maybe
baby?
it's my transgender.
You mean
I
babies?
have nieces that are, no, I have nephews and nieces that are older.
Kayla's,
That are older than you?
Yeah.
14
Oh.
years old.
What if he becomes transgender?
Yeah.
Is there any way possible for him to have a baby if he goes through a different?
Yes.
Not currently.
And there should never be.
Not currently.
Sorry, Nick.
Right. But there is something, once you have carried that child in your womb for however long they stay in, usually it's kind of like 10 months, it's 40 weeks, but we say 9 months. So once you've carried that child and then you birth them and you smell them and they smell so good,
Babies
and
are
then you
heavy.
understand. They're like really weird when they come out and they like move like little aliens and stuff.
Yes.
And they're, yeah.
Yeah.
I do have videos of my offspring while we're in the hospital.
Okay.
And they look like aliens. I love it. They just kind of like move all funny. They move like they're still in the amniotic fluid. So they move like they're underwater, even though they're not underwater. Wow, we got real off topic. I just
Yeah.
like the smell of baby heads.
baby heads.
So that
You're
baby,
talking about
the eyeball, I know. I was like,
So-
where did this come from?
So you have children in your basement that you just go down randomly sniff?
Okay.
No,
Let's get
I
on topic
sniff
now.
random people's
You
children.
said your husband's
And I try to like not make it noticeable. Like if someone's like, "Do you want to hold my baby?" and I'm like, "Yeah," and then I'll like hold the baby and I'm like, "Ugh." And then just kind of smell their little heads. It's so weird. I know it smells. They smell. Puppy breath. Anybody else like puppy breath?
No.
That was on the video yesterday.
No.
It stinks after a while.
Yeah, but it's so cute at the beginning, and they're so cute little puppies.
Care
Right.
about
Like,
like
you're
care about us
Mustangs.
calling you old, but you don't care about admitting to the internet. You like baby heads and puppy breath.
Right. Baby heads and puppy breath.
calling.
Yeah.
You think what?
You're right. You have
I
contract.
learned
Strange
science.
addiction.
My strange addiction is calling.
You're what?
My strange addiction.
It's not a strange addiction.
Yes, it
I
is.
don't
What are you
I don't go
talking about?
around and like find random babies.
You just talked about how you were
If somebody offers to let me hold their child, I'm gonna smell the baby head. But it's people I know. I don't go up to strangers and I'm like, "Hello, ma'am." Although let me tell you, all I have to do is tell people that I'm a teacher and they will hand me their children. Like, it is insanity.
If they start running, I drop this.
No, like they do. I don't know what happens. I would go to the pool this summer and children would just come to me and be like, "Can you help me go to the potty?" Oh, and I would see you at the pool like a couple of summers ago. All those kids that were there would come over and be like, "Hey, watch me do this. Watch me do a flip. Watch me jump in. Can you take me to the potty?" No, I can't take you to the potty. I'm not your person. But yeah, hey, I have a boo-boo. Right.
Did they ask if you have candy?
No.
They tell her to sniff their head and she goes,
No, but I don't know what it is. They just do. And they would, yeah, whatever.
I think we.
I was really sad that the Washington Park pool didn't open this summer.
I know.
But we did Canonsburg pool and it was nice.
Oh, there's
Yeah, there's a real nice
my mom
pool.
was talking about going there, but we just never
she
did.
was looking at the little infant.
It's real nice. They have like a nice fountain in the middle of the pool. Why is it this period somebody always comes in? Let's find out who it is.
Right.
It's like we have a special guest. Let's see who today's special guest is. Hello. I am currently videoing and I am streaming right now. So I do not. Not yet. I will do later this day. Thank you. Hey, it's every day. Every day somebody comes in.
Yeah.
Comes knocking.
They didn't bring their babies.
No babies.
She's not gonna let that down. I hope you know.
No, that's okay.
It's
I will
okay.
hold babies.
If
I
that's
do
what
love
you like to do with
babies.
your free time.
It's not what I like to do with my free time, but if there is a baby near,
Do you
I
do
would
that
like
with
to
your
hold the
kids?
baby.
Do you
But
like
I
to
do
smell your
really
husband?
enjoy holding a baby, and then that baby cries, and do you know what I do? Oh, here's your child. That is fun too, because I'm like, done.
Wait.
Thank
do
you.
does that
I'm
mean-
done.
Do you like to smell your husband's head?
He's not a baby.
He's
I like to
perfect.
smell my
There's
children.
a big difference.
All right. So this eyeball cell I take out, and when I take that eyeball cell out, that baby's not going to die, but that eyeball cell is going to die. Multicellular organism cells cannot live on their own.
That's what
Wow, that was a really long time to say that. Other things are unicellular, like a prokaryote, like this. Do you know what this is?
No, not a clue.
E. coli.
It
Oh,
looks like
Yeah, we
plankton.
studied that.
Where
Like,
does E. coli live?
And bad food.
Plankton.
Not normally.
Species.
Huh?
Species.
Feces, right. So it lives in your lower colon, like in your digestive system. So somebody said it lives in food. The way that it gets into the food is somebody goes to the bathroom and doesn't properly wash their hands, and then they handle your food, and now that bacteria that helps you digest food in your lower digestive tract is now in your upper digestive tract into your stomach, and it makes you very sick. Also, it's pretty common in pools, like swimming pools, not necessarily here as much. It's a little bit too cool here. A lot of the southern states, so you're at the pool and some kid like goes to the bathroom in the pool or had diarrhea, and so not all of that is completely cleaned off of their rectum, and then they get into the pool and then it gets into the water if there's not enough chlorine, or if it's maybe like kind of warm and not enough chlorine, then that bacteria continues to grow and grow and grow. You're swimming, you jump in, you get a little bit of water in your mouth, you swallow that water, now that water's in your upper digestive system, and you're gonna have E. coli. Poisoning,
Well, I
not
guess
really
I'm not
poisoning,
going to-
but it's probably not gonna kill you. You're young and healthy, you're gonna get some diarrhea, you're gonna throw up a bit, it's probably not gonna kill you. Response to stimuli. A stimulus can be physical or it can be chemical. So it could be the physical act we talked about the other day of me turning on the light. It's a physical change where your pupils are going to constrict rapidly. It could be a chemical change where you drink a cup of coffee. So that's a chemical that you're putting inside of your body. It can be external, both turning on the light and drinking the coffee are external, or it could be internal. So maybe there's something in my body that is, once that caffeine hits and now it's changing other things, like maybe my blood pressure. Okay, but everything responds to stimuli, not just if you get punched in the face, then you cry.
Look, there's a baby. Smell its head.
There's baby.
Can we get a mask? Can we get a mask break?
We have like 10 more minutes
Well, that's all
for our
we need.
mask break, unless you want to do it now and then put them back on for the last 10 minutes.
Your choice, Beth.
We can
Yep.
wait a little bit.
We can wait a couple minutes? Okay. Homeostasis, super, 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 super important. Guess what I did with the stick yesterday?
Beat someone with it?
Nope, I killed a fly.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's kind of cool, though.
I know. His guts are still right here.
Oh, okay.
His name was Lenny. I killed him. I
Why'd
just
you
saw
kill
that.
Lenny?
Lenny.
What did Lenny do to you?
Somebody said, how come you can kill flies but you can't kill tomato bugs? Because flies carry disease. So Lenny would land on anything. So Lenny is hanging out in the bathroom and somebody doesn't flush their poo down the toilet. Lenny will land on that poo, eat a little poo, he'll come in here, he'll land on my sandwich. Now I got a little bit of E. coli on my sandwich.
Yummy.
That's why Lenny had to die.
So,
Yes.
you named a fly,
Yeah.
then killed it.
Yep.
If you name it, you gotta
That's
keep
terrible.
it.
Right.
How can
So you name things, you kill it, you sniff baby head,
So-
you make puppy.
Someone said, so you named a fly and then you killed it. Yes.
Wait.
So think of that next time you want to act out in class. Because I know your name.
Alright.
Huh?
Hmm.
Oh
I
my
know.
But
God.
what happens
I'm
if
kidding.
a puppy licks itself after using the bathroom and stuff, and you
And
like
then licks
touch
your
it,
face.
and it licks
You don't let them lick me.
You don't let your dogs
Put
lick
your
your
nose
nose.
in it.
No.
No.
Cola.
Imagine
Kinda
a
like
puppy eating
cats.
its own crap, you just grab its jaws and sniff it.
No.
That's not good.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Now,
Cats, I'm not a super fan of cats. If a cat could use the toilet, then maybe, and I know you can train them to do that, but cats, like, they get in their litter box and they walk all over their litter, and then they go to the bathroom in their litter, and then they, like, jump up on your counter, and now you got cat feces everywhere. Like, I just can't. The cats.
You know, I'm
So
glad I
weird
don't
thing
have
about
a cat
cats.
anymore.
Sorry if you have cats.
time to put gold in the
Homeostasis. Homeostasis. Maintaining a constant internal environment. Weather, it's temperature, so you're too hot, too cold. We talk a lot about hyperthermia, where you get too hot because you have a fever. What's hypothermia?
opposite of hypothermia.
Right, what does it mean then?
Warm.
You get too cold, right? So your body temperature gets too low. So we're talking like maybe 80s or so. When it's there,
It gets lower than that.
it does, yeah.
I think
but-
it gets down to 70s, 60s, and then
Right.
your body starts to shut down.
Yeah.
And then you get frostbite and all this
Go
stuff.
for a jog.
Right.
And then you might have to amputate it.
Amputate.
Amputate or you just die, right?
Yeah.
So it's either one. You're too hot, you're too cold. Your body's going to correct itself. You have too much, too little water. pH levels, too acidic, too alkaline. It's going to work that way. Taking in too many nutrients, not enough nutrients. There's lots of things. Your body is constantly taking in information and then resetting itself so that you don't die. Metabolism is taking one form of energy and converting it into a second form of energy. Sometimes it's taking sun energy, combining it with carbon dioxide, and producing glucose and oxygen. What do we call that? Photosynthesis. Other times it's taking in either plants or animals and converting that type of energy into a form of energy that you can use that's called ATP. What process causes that? Anybody know that one?
No.
Cellular respiration. We'll spend an entire chapter right here on photosynthesis, and then a second chapter just on cellular respiration. Next characteristic of life is growth and development, not just the growth and development of you, but the growth and development and the changing of your cells. Again, that's an entire chapter. And then reproduction. Again, this is the one that's different because it is not important for you. You will not die if you don't reproduce. But if nobody reproduces, then we end up with no more humans. Okay, and when you reproduce within your species. There it is. It just randomly does that. It does it, like it did it a whole bunch yesterday during anatomy. I didn't have anatomy this morning, so now it's doing it. It'll probably do it like 4 more times. Whatever, we just go with it. Species, a group of genetically similar, that's not the important part, organisms that can produce fertile offspring. That fertile part is the important part because they need to be able to mate and make babies that can make babies in order to be the same species. And then reproduction, it's why you look like your parents because we took half of your mom's DNA, half of your dad's DNA, united them together, and made you. Ah, my eye itches. I don't want to know. 2 types, asexual reproduction. The important part here is that the offspring are genetically identical to the parent. And then in sexual reproduction, the offspring are genetically similar to the 2 parents. So asexual 1 parent, sexual 2 parents. And then everything changes through time. Then we looked at the diversity of life, and this is what was on the video yesterday that you should have watched. Okay, you can mask break. Oh, so much better. Chucky Darwin gave us natural selection. We're besties, so I call him Chucky. Chucky Darwin gave us natural selection through by means of adaptations. So good characteristics will sometimes be passed on. If it is something that is heritable, meaning that it can be passed on within generations, and it tends to be things that are good. So one thing I did just want to make sure that you understand is, yes, we have bad things that are passed on, but usually those things are passed on after the person who's carrying them has already had children. So a lot of the things that we keep seeing over and over in families like multiple sclerosis, my mind just totally went blank. We'll just use multiple sclerosis. The parents don't know that they have it or that they're a carrier of it until they're in their late 30s, early 40s, and generally by that time they've already had children. So they've passed those traits on to their kids. Those are what we call a recessive trait. There are some dominant traits, like dwarfism, that is a dominant trait. Okay, so, but that's not detrimental, that's not gonna kill you. But most of the ones that can kill you happen, they are recessive, so the parents don't know that they're carrying those genes, or they find out that they have it after the kid has already been born. Okay, adaptations, it has to be something that is helpful for the species, and that is subjective, so it tends to be helpful for that species at that time and that place. What may be good now might not be good later. For example, we use the example of the peppered moths. If you remember this from Mrs. Cox's class, where all of the moths were kind of light and they'd sit on the leaves, and the ones that were darker were able to be seen by the insects, so they would eat all of the darker ones, so a lot of the insects, the peppered moths, were lighter. But then something happened. Does anybody know this example? The industrial, you've never heard this? Then the Industrial Revolution happened, and once the Industrial Revolution happened, it kind of left a layer of soot over everything, so the leaves were darker. So then which one do you think that the birds would eat, the light ones or the dark ones? The light ones, because they were easier to be seen. So it's specific to time and place. And if it's happening in one area, it might not have that same pollution somewhere else. We're gonna look at ecology the second half of the year. That's what you learned in Mrs. Cox's class with organisms and their environment. Then we looked at the scientific method. It does not follow a rigid set of rules. It's something you use every day to make basically every decision, where you take in information, you process it, and then make a guess. So you had a hypothesis that today's weather was going to be, I don't even know what it is, 77 today. So from that, you hypothesized what you should wear. You predicted if you would be comfortable. And this is the same one from yesterday that I told you. And then you experimented. So you wore whatever you wore today because you thought that that would be the most comfortable. And then we'll see how it works. It can only happen to things in the natural world. We can only use the scientific method for the natural world, not the supernatural. And it does not work if everything doesn't happen the same way now as it has always happened. So uniformity. The steps of the scientific method, the first is observation. Generally, you just make an observation using your 5 senses and determine that there is something that you are wondering about. Then you make a hypothesis. A educated guess is not a good enough explanation any longer, because it has to be both testable, so there has to be a way that you can test it, and it also has to be falsifiable, so there has to be some way for it to be proven not true. And then you make a prediction, what will happen. Then you experiment, and we do a controlled experiment. In a controlled experiment, there's 2 groups. In the control group, nothing changes, and in the experimental group, one thing changes. Yesterday, I used the example of my tomatoes. So my tomato plants, I would sing and dance to, but that wasn't a good hypothesis. Why was that not a good hypothesis? I can sing and dance my heart out to my tomatoes and see which ones are going to grow taller.
Yeah.
You only use you didn't like do another test. You only used 2 things, just singing and dancing.
What was I doing?
Just
Singing and
dancing.
how many variables do I have?
2.
How many do I need to have?
1.
1. Right, so I could use that I'm just singing to them or just dancing to them, but that would have to be 2 separate experiments, okay? So say if I sing to my plants, they are going to grow taller. So my control group, would I sing to them or not sing to them? Do I sing to my control group or do not sing to them? Or rap? I did. It was 50-50 gangster rap, Broadway show tunes. That just makes up this.
50-50.
Yeah, like sometimes it was gangster rap, sometimes it was Hamilton. Or Rocky Horror Picture Show, or Chicago. Or Wicked. Or Rent. There were lots of them. My control group, nothing changes. I don't sing to my control group. My experimental group, I sing to them. Okay. And I would need to make sure that both groups have the same plants. They need to have the same type and amount of soil, same type and amount of water, same type and amount of sunlight. One group gets sung to, one group does not get sung to. Okay? The independent variable is the thing that's changed. That would be my singing. The dependent variable is the thing that is measured. To make sure that we do real science and good science, we often do blind experiments where the person who is taking the results of the experiment are not going to know which group is which. That way they don't skew the results. Then I collect my data. We like to collect things in numbers as opposed to value, because if you really hate tomatoes, it doesn't matter how awesome my tomatoes taste, you're not gonna like my tomatoes. That's a qualitative value. So when I design my experiment, I would need to say that my tomato plants grow taller or produce more tomatoes. That would be the better there. Any questions on that? Okay, then I find out what happens, I collect all of my data, draw my conclusion, do it over and over and over and over again, and if it looks like to the best of my knowledge that it is accurate, then I would construct a theory. In science, a theory is not a guess. A theory is for the best idea that we have, the accurate answer. In science, in order to be considered a law, we have to be able to test it, make sure that it works throughout time and space, and we don't have many laws in science. We've got the laws of gravity all the time. Thermodynamics, got some gas laws, law and conservation of mass, energy of mass, I just lost the name of that one. But most of them are theories. So even like the atomic theory, we can't see the protons, neutrons, and electrons. We can see what they do, but we can't actually see them. So we call it a theory. Does not mean it's not true. Can be changed. That will be on the keystone. They always ask that question. Theories can be changed as we get new evidence, because we're constantly getting better technology and better tools. You guys look like you're fading quickly.
Yeah.
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 Any questions for you? Okay, Group A, your test is Tuesday. Group B, your test is Wednesday. Group A, your homework is due Wednesday. Group B, your homework is due Tuesday. Okay, so you'll do it in your binder, you'll take a picture, you'll submit it to me. All right, have a great weekend. Bye-bye, Group A.